Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Dr. Forever Age Free. We're always told to eat our fruit, right? It's supposed to be the key to good health. But what if I told you that for many of us, especially as we get older, some of that healthy fruit is actually the hidden cause of a very common and frustrating problem? Let's take a closer look.
So, let me ask you something. If you're over 60, does this sound familiar? Your legs just feel heavy, weaker than they used to. Maybe even a short walk around the block feels like a major workout. It's so easy to just brush that off and think, well, I'm just getting older. But is that really the whole story?
But what if the real culprit isn't your age at all? What if it's hiding in plain sight, right there in that beautiful fruit bowl on your counter? I know, it sounds a little crazy, but stick with me. Today, we're going to uncover how some of our absolute favorite fruits might be quietly sabotaging your strength. Okay, so here's the thing. Our bodies are incredible, but they definitely change after 60. The way we process food just isn't the same. Foods that used to be our allies can suddenly start working against us. It's something longevity experts like the amazing Dr. Hinahara pointed out. Weakness isn't just about what we stop doing. It's also about what we keep eating without adapting to our body's new rulebook. And listen, the main takeaway here is this. This isn't just a simple sugar is bad talk. It's way more complex. Certain fruits can actually kick off a perfect storm inside the aging body. We're talking about impaired circulation, chronic inflammation, and just a whole lot of metabolic stress. And over time, all of that chips away at the very foundation of our muscle strength, leaving our legs feeling weak and tired. All right, let's dive into our first category of fruits. We're going to zero in on the ones that are high in a very specific kind of sugar called fructose. And you really need to know about it because it takes a completely different and sometimes dangerous path through our bodies, especially as we get older.
So, what's the big deal with fructose?
Well, unlike other sugars that fuel our body, fructose makes a beeline straight for the liver. Now, as we age, our liver can get a little sluggish. So when a flood of fructose hits it all at once, it gets overwhelmed. This is a huge problem because that overload process directly damages our blood vessels. And that's the absolute key to understanding why our legs might feel so weak.
Okay, first up on our watch list, grapes. I know, right? Grapes? They seem so light, so healthy. They're sweet, they're easy to pop in your mouth, and you know what? That's exactly where the trouble starts.
See, the fructose in grapes causes a spike in something called uric acid in your body. And that uric acid basically blocks the one thing your blood vessels need to stay open and flexible. So your circulation narrows. It's just like trying to water your garden when someone is pinching the hose. The water just trickles out. That's what's happening in your legs. They just aren't getting the oxygen and nutrients they need to really thrive. All right, next let's talk about pineapple. And yeah, I know what you're thinking, but what about bromelain, the anti-inflammatory enzyme? And you're right, but we have to look at the whole picture because the combination of its super high fructose content and its acidity can create a real double-edged sword for seniors. So here's that double whammy in action. First, the fructose inflames the blood vessels. At the same time, the acidity can irritate your gut. When you put those two together, it can actually lead to fluid retention or edema in your legs. And this isn't just about a little puffiness. That extra fluid actually gets in the way of oxygen getting to your muscles. It slows down your recovery and leaves your legs feeling heavy, tight, and just plain weak. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Now we're going to look at fruits that cause a really fast and furious spike in your blood glucose. Think of it like a roller coaster, and that wild ride is especially damaging to the foundation of our strength. You might be surprised to see this one on the list. Bananas. They're famous for potassium, and that's great, but they're also jam-packed with simple carbohydrates. For a lot of seniors who might already be dealing with some insulin resistance, a banana can send blood sugar on that roller coaster we just talked about. Those spikes and crashes put a ton of stress on the really delicate blood vessels in our legs and feet. And what about watermelon? I mean, it's mostly water, right? It seems so innocent, but it's actually really high on the glycemic index, which means it shoots your blood sugar up incredibly fast. And because it has almost no fiber to slow that down, you get this huge sugar rush followed by a really hard crash. This kind of energy doesn't last, it doesn't feed your muscles, and it can even lead to fatigue and cramps. Okay, now we're at our final and honestly what I consider the most dangerous category. This is what happens when fruit gets processed, when all of its natural protective fiber is stripped away, leaving behind a super concentrated punch of sugar. First on this list is dried fruit.
Yeah, I'm talking about raisins, dates, dried apricots, you name it. We have to think of these as little concentrated sugar bombs, because when you take all the water out, what's left is pure condensed sugar, and it becomes dangerously easy to eat way, way too much. Just to put this in perspective, get ready for this. A tiny quarter cup of raisins has more sugar than a full can of soda. I'm gonna say that again, more sugar than a can of soda. To your body, sugar is sugar. It doesn't care if it came from a grape or a factory. And for an aging body, these massive sugar spikes are like a direct attack on the blood vessels in your legs. And that leads us right into fruit juice. And yes, I mean, even the fancy, fresh squeezed, all natural kind. The problem is simple. Juicing removes all the fiber, period. What's left is basically sugar water that hits your bloodstream like a freight train. That causes a huge insulin spike, which leads to vascular damage. And guess where that damage often shows up first? Yep, the legs and feet.
And last but not least, we have to talk about canned fruit. Things like those peaches swimming in heavy syrup, they're a nutritional nightmare. The canning process itself zaps a lot of the nutrients, and then the fruit is left to soak in a bath of pure sugar syrup. This is a direct recipe for the kind of systemic inflammation that just drains the strength from your legs. Okay, so after hearing all of that, you might be thinking, so I should just stop eating fruit? And the answer is absolutely not. This isn't about creating fear. It's about giving you clarity and putting you back in the driver's seat. The goal here is to learn how to eat fruit intelligently so that it works for you, building your strength instead of taking it away. So here are 3 simple, powerful rules you can use to enjoy fruit the smart way. Rule number 1. Always choose whole, fresh fruit. You want that fiber. It's your best friend. Number 2, never eat fruit alone. Always pair it with some protein or healthy fat. Think a handful of nuts, a scoop of yogurt. That's going to slow down that sugar absorption. And number 3, and this one is the most important of all, listen to your body. Pay attention. How do you feel an hour after you eat that fruit? How are your energy levels? Your legs will tell you everything you need to know. So I really want to leave you with this idea. The body you have after 60 has a different set of needs, and the choices you make, even with something as seemingly simple as a piece of fruit, have a direct and profound impact on your mobility, your strength, and your independence for years to come. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer today. If you found this information helpful and you want to keep learning more about how to stay strong, sharp, and independent as you age, I would be so honored if you'd subscribe to my channel, Forever Age Free. I can't wait to see you next time.